Alright, do you have your timer?
Okay, yeah.
Water.
After this, you can just get super drunk if you want. And forget everything.
Okay, don't ignore that part, Dr. Hyatt. We're not gonna talk about that part. We're gonna... What did you just do? Okay.
Just let me know when started.
Just, yeah. Go ahead. Did you start it? Okay. Just so you know, before we get started, everything you say is confidential, but there are rules. If you are at risk of harm to yourself or others, if you are abusing or neglecting a child or vulnerable adult, if there is a court order or release of information, then I am legally required to disclose information in those scenarios. In addition, I'm a grad student, which means my site and faculty supervisor and I will be discussing and reviewing my work to ensure that I am working appropriately and in order to provide me feedback for my learning. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. What is your name?
My name is Janelle.
Hi, Janelle. How are you?
I guess I've been better because I'm here.
Okay, well, yeah, obviously.
But, I'm okay. This weekend my husband and I got in a really big fight over purchasing a home, and I don't think he knows that that's like a sensitive issue for me, and he wasn't listening. So I'm better than I was, but I'm not great.
Okay, why don't you tell me about yourself? Some general information first before we get super...
Well, my name is Janelle. I am retired Air Force. I served for 22 years.
22 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have 2 children, a daughter and a son, and they both go to FSU.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm married to my husband Paul, who for the past all summer we've been like mobile tiny living throughout the United States. So we've been kind of living out of our Silverado with our border collies, traveling in the States, and now we're staying with his parents right now. So we're in Virginia.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that's why we're having a conversation about buying a house. It's because we don't currently have a home.
Settle down a little bit. Okay. So, now you were saying that you got into a fight.
Yeah, we're staying with his mom right now, and his parents are very well off, and my parents were never that way. I'm not really used to being around people like that. So I think that she has it in her head that we're gonna buy a home, and that's the next step after traveling. But I really don't want to buy a home. Honestly, I'm still trying to put my house on the market that I owned with my previous husband.
So you own a house right now?
I co-own a home with my ex-husband, yes.
Okay, and your husband doesn't want to live there?
No, I think there's a lot of reasons. We don't want to live in Florida. Just the sheer, I'm sure it's not great for him to want to live in the home that I shared with another family.
Has this ever been a point of contention for you and your husband?
The fact that I own a home?
Mm-hmm.
He knows. It's been a point of contention for me and my ex-husband, but I think my current husband, Paul, has been pretty understanding of the situation, but he's also very quiet about it, so I don't know, actually. But he knows about it. We don't talk about it a lot.
Now, did you decide to drive across the country like that out of a want to do it, or did you find yourself homeless and maybe doing it out of necessity?
Yeah, it definitely was not a necessity. I had pretty much just retired, and my youngest son had just finished high school. So actually the day after he graduated, we hit the road. We helped my children move into Tallahassee, and then it's always been a dream of mine, and he used to spend a lot of time out west, so it just made sense for us as a couple.
Okay, so you sold your home.
No, it's still on the market.
The house that you were living in?
We were renting.
Okay, so you were renting a house, but you owned the other house from your ex-husband. Why didn't your husband just didn't want to live in that house?
Well, we originally moved to Gainesville to be with my daughter while she was still going to undergrad at UF.
Okay, and the house was somewhere else.
The house is in Panama City.
Mm-hmm. So the fight, what was the fight about?
The fight was about my husband frequently sides with his mother instead of myself, which is as irritating as it sounds. And she has had quite the hand in our marriage, especially in these like major decisions like purchasing homes or I don't know, I just feel like it's been a trend for a while. For example, just the other day I wanted to go to the DMV with him and he decided to stay home and bake cookies with his mom. And that's small, but like it's just this concept that he always picks her instead of me.
Mm-hmm. So how exactly did the fight start? You were in the car,
We were, it started, I guess, like, to backtrack it, like, while we were traveling this summer, we were talking about, we do eventually want to own a home.
Okay.
However, he's kind of jumping the gun, I feel. We were talking about, buying somewhere out west, and we talked about it for, honestly, the entire length of our marriage, really, of moving out west.
And how long have you been together?
About a year and a half.
Okay.
But we talked about buying a house out west, and then one day I'm in the living room with him and his mother, and they just start talking about owning a home in Virginia, which is about as east as you can go in the United States. And they talked about owning a home in Virginia or North Carolina, and I feel like several times I tried to politely input my opinion of like I don't want to live in these places. They tax my pension from retirement very high. I spent a lot of time in the Southeast. I just don't want to stay here anymore. And also, it's just the concept that we've talked about the West until all of a sudden his mom inputs her opinion, and now it's different.
Right.
So that was the beginning, and I guess I got really upset this weekend, and I think they had started to move forward with purchasing a home. They'd already decided on a home, and
they decided without you.
They decided without me, so I decided to drive to Tallahassee.
Did he consult you at all?
No, the most they told me, we looked at this home together online. We like loosely talked about it, and I repeatedly told them that this isn't where I want to live. I don't want a pool, and there was a pool there. And then we're just in the car, and he's on the phone with his mom, and they start using language as if it's already in the works. And so it kind of freaked out a little bit, and I decided to drive to Tallahassee and stay with my children for a couple days and like think it over.
Mm-hmm. And that brings us to present day here?
Yeah, in the present day.
Okay. So, tell me about your husband's relationship with his mother.
I mean, his mom was boy.
They're pretty close.
They're pretty close. Well, it's more than close. I think he's still dependent on her, and
how old is he?
We're both in our 40s, and I think that's where it feels like the cherry on top of like constantly picking his mother over me. She constantly has a decision or a say in the decisions we make as a married couple.
How old is the mother?
She's, I think, in her 60s, 70s. She's fairly young for being the mother of a 40-year-old, but they're all they're well off, and so I think she has this desire to like provide for him, and he lets that happen, I guess, because it's convenient, which I can understand, but I just have never been raised that way. My whole family, we all worked for ourselves and only for ourselves, and I don't think he gets that.
Okay. So, is his dad in the picture?
His stepdad. His dad passed away. So.
His dad passed away. Do you know how old he was?
When he passed away?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. We really don't. We should probably talk about these things more. Him and I.
Okay, but when you were traveling across the country, was the mom in contact a lot?
Yeah, I mean, she would call every other day, ask how we're doing, ask where we are, ask if we need anything.
And how long were you traveling across the country for?
About 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And she would call every other day.
She would call every other day, and I think.
It's a lot.
Maybe I should have realized sooner. Like, I think at first every other day sounded like she was just being supportive of us, but in hindsight, I guess it was overbearing, and I should have realized. So.
Maybe monitoring in a way.
Yeah, maybe, or just. I don't know. She does it with her grandchildren too. I think she feels like if she can physically provide for people or like buy them things and be this like caretaker that like they will love. I think she feels this desire to buy her children's love.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he sees that.
So, how would, in an ideal world, how would that situation have gone to avoid that argument? I mean, how much input would the mother have if things went completely your way and you had a magic wand and you wanted to just wave it and make everything perfect?
In a perfect world, she, I don't know, would maybe help us look for nice houses out west, like accommodate to what we had already talked about, and then like contribute to the process and
maybe acknowledge that it is your and your husband's decision and
yeah.
not hers.
Yeah, I don't think she acknowledged our decision. I think she wanted to.
Is she living with you?
Right now we're staying. Well, obviously I'm in Tallahassee, but right now I just came from staying in her lake house in Virginia. So I think she wants to keep us close. Because she was looking at houses. They're talking about going through with a house in Virginia.
So she wants you in Virginia, not to live with you, but to be near.
Yeah, to be nearby, to keep her hand over things, to maintain control, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. She just won't let go of like her baby boy.
No, in a perfect world, she would have no input, a little bit of input.
In a perfect world, she would have a non-demanding opinion. Yeah, about.
A supportive opinion, kind
Sure.
of an onlooker's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she's a little bit too close to the inner circle.
Right. How are things with your parents?
Very different than that. I mean, they're good, but my mother passed away about a year ago, so I call my father every couple of days, but I think that's the difference too, is like I call him, and I call him to check on him because his wife died, and he spends a lot of time by himself, and I mean, even when I was little, we were very self-sufficient. I raised my siblings, I was working when I was in high school, I taught myself how to drive, like, it's just a very different experience, and I think it's just now hitting me how different our family worlds have been.
Does it bother you that your husband talks to his mom so much? Or would he still be able to talk to his mom just as much? She have no input on your life, and would you still feel the same way?
No, I think it's great to talk to your parents. I love that my father and I have such good communication. We talk every couple of days, and I value that, and I do that with my kids, and I want them to have that too. But I think the difference is when I call my dad, I ask how he's doing, he asks how I'm doing. We share updates. When she calls him, it just feels different. She feels overbearing. She feels nosy, and.
Are you hearing the conversations that they're having?
On speaker in the phone, yep.
Oh.
So that's the thing, is that we kind of like collaborate on these family calls. We'll call my children together, we'll call his parents together.
And she knows you're listening?
Yeah.
Does she talk to you?
Yeah, we like talk as a group, but
Do they ever talk by themselves alone?
Yeah, I mean, she'll orient the conversation towards, for 3 months my husband and I have been down each other's throats. Yeah, so I don't miss a lot, but.
Okay, barring that.
So sometimes they talk without me, but it's like I can still hear it.
They talk about you, but you can still hear it. Does that bother you? What do they say?
I mean, I guess it's not about me explicitly. They'll talk about the house or just other things, and then I don't know. She'll ask like these loaded questions, like, "Well, is that what you really want to do? Have you thought about this?"
Mothers are great at that.
Are you sure? Yeah. So it's
grandmothers especially.
And I feel like a stereotype complaining about my mother-in-law, but here we are. And yeah. So I also think a huge part of this too is that like I think I'm disappointed because my husband knows that a big point of contention in my last marriage was the purchase of a home, and here we are trying to we're arguing over purchasing a home, so it just feels very similar, and I don't know if he's thought about it like that.
What has he said in response to you telling him that you wanted to move somewhere out west and not east?
He agreed with me, which is I think why it's so frustrating. We had a collaborative goal to move out west until his mother suggested North Carolina or Virginia, and I don't know.
How long ago did he agree? I mean, How much time is between him agreeing with you and then him agreeing with his mother? How much time passed?
Maybe 2 weeks.
So that's pretty fast.
Yeah, I think that's. It felt very.
And he didn't consult you at all?
No, they would show me the house. We would look at these houses together on the laptop, and I would say to them, you know, I'm not sure. I don't want to live out in North Carolina or Virginia. They tax my pension, and then they just kind of keep searching, and I felt kind of brushed off. And so I feel like, especially now that we've been in her home and we're not sharing the car, I feel like there may have been more conversations about this home that I haven't been involved with, because it seems like they've made a decision and started moving forward, which I definitely missed.
Would you be able to live there? I mean, would it make or break the situation?
I don't know. I just think that
maybe that's not the core issue. Maybe the core issue is that he's ignoring you and focusing more on his mother.
Yeah, I just think that this would be like the utmost example of I don't want to do it anymore, and I don't know, a third failed marriage feels like game over. Like, what's the point of trying?
Right. So there's more anxiety than just, there's a lot of deeper.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
meanings here.
Bigger than the house. Like, I feel like if he went through with this with his mom, like I don't know that I would want to stay with him.
Now we're talking about a life-changing.
Yeah.
Thing
I
here.
guess so.
This is not just about a house anymore. This is about
a divorce, maybe.
Your whole perception of love, even.
Yeah.
If you think that it wouldn't be worth it anymore after this.
I mean, it's just, this is the third time running. It just gets tiring.
It gets tiring. Okay. Gets tiring.
You get like 3 minutes.
So, tell me, what is your view on love? What does that mean to you?
I think it's built for some people and not others. And I think
Which one are you?
maybe not others. I don't know. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but
Do you think that the frame of mind that you're in right now, following this argument, might sway your opinion on that a little bit? Maybe make you lean towards the not others side of it?
I mean, yeah, it's probably like a major factor. I think it just feels like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Would you still agree with the not others statement at a normal day when you haven't been arguing with your husband?
Probably not.
Probably not.
This is the biggest fight we've ever had.
So this is more of a catastrophe.
It feels that way. Yeah.
Well, you're uprooted. It's easy to be destabilized like that when you don't have anywhere to go. So what's your plan moving forward? What do you have in mind?
My daughter told me I should probably reach out to him this weekend, and I think she's right. So I think I'm gonna try to call him, talk to him tomorrow, and see if we can meet back up in person and talk about what we want to do. So I can't just run away from him.
So you'll call him tomorrow and you'll meet up with him?
Yeah, well, we were supposed to come down here for Tallahassee for my daughter's birthday anyway, so I thought I would just come early, but I think it meant more to him, so maybe we can meet in the middle, or I can go back up there, or he'll come here. We were already gonna come here.
And what are you planning on saying to him?
That maybe I shouldn't have, you know, in a panic, left for Florida, but it really wasn't.
Will that be a point of contention that you left?
Probably. It was
Is
a little
that
bit
something that
dramatic.
bothers him?
He makes it sound that way. I think he thinks I walked out on him.
Okay.
But I keep telling him we were already coming to Florida.
Do you think that might influence his dependency on his mother?
Right now, probably, while I'm not there. So, I don't know, I think I would call and say that I'm sorry for my part and like own my blame first. And
Does he express that a lot, that he feels like he can't depend on anyone but his mother?
not verbally. He's not a very verbal guy. He just looks that way.
But you get the feeling that he feels like
I think he's dependent on her in a way that isn't completely love. I think it's convenience, and I think it's financial.
Financial.
He bought his latest mountain bike, or she bought.
She bought it. So she's a pretty wealthy lady.
Mm-hmm. She went to Vanderbilt, and she won't let anyone forget it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm. She also got sued, or no, sorry, she sued someone because she had identity theft. So I guess she deserves her money, but I don't like the way she handles it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think she... Okay, well that's it.
Gang.
Oh, we could have cut that part out.
I mean, we can cut it sooner anyway.